Good evening. You are watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. First, the headlines. Assigned by His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq, His Excellency the Foreign Minister arrives in Iran to take part in the swearing-in ceremony of the Iranian President-elect. The vaccination of school students of the age group 12 years and above starts in all governorates of the Sultanate. The Dhofar Governorate receives thousands of visitors to enjoy the Kharif season, while the COVID-19 Supreme Committee observes some gatherings and violations of the precautionary measures in the Wilaya of Salalah. And the Ministry of Education announces the results of the General Education Diploma examinations. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Hamad bin Hamoud Al Busaidi, Foreign Minister, held a session of talks with his Iranian counterpart, His Excellency Mohammad Jawad Zarif, Iranian Foreign Minister. During the meeting, they reviewed bilateral relations and cooperation between both countries in various fields, as well as stressed on both countries' keenness to enhance them so as to serve the joint interests of their respective peoples. The meeting also focused on the regional and international developments of common concern. His Excellency the Foreign Minister emphasized on the necessity to continue efforts to reach a political reconciliation through peaceful dialogue and support all efforts seeking to achieve peace, security and harmony in the region. From his part, the Iranian Foreign Minister praised the historical relations between both countries and the Sultanate's wise political role in dealing with various issues, while stressing on the significance of bilateral cooperation and enhancing ways to achieve peace and stability. Assigned by His Majesty Sultan bin Haytham bin Tariq, His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Hamad Al Busaidi, Foreign Minister, earlier arrived in the Islamic Republic of Iran to represent the Sultanate at the swearing-in ceremony of the Iranian President-elect, His Excellency Dr. Ibrahim Raisi, to be sworn as the new president of the country, which will be held in the capital Tehran on Thursday. The vaccination of school students of the age group 12 years and above against COVID-19 started today in all governorates of the Sultanate. The number of targeted students is around 320,000 in public and private schools. The Ministry of Health, in cooperation with the Ministry of Education, said that the vaccination will help students to return to classrooms in the next semester and contribute in combating the COVID-19 pandemic. The ministry is continuing the campaign to vaccinate the target group from 18 years and above in all of the Sultanate, as well as the second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine for those who have completed 10 weeks from the date of the first dose for the target group in the campaign. In the Governorate of Dhofar, the national COVID-19 vaccination campaign is ongoing to vaccinate those who should take the second dose of the vaccine and completed 10 weeks from the first dose, in addition to the age group of 18 and above. The vaccination process is being carried out at Sultan Qaboos Youth Complex and other designated centers in the Governorate. The vaccination centers witnessed good turnout from citizens and residents amid strict health precautionary measures. Awareness activities were organized to encourage students, citizens and residents to take the vaccine to protect themselves from COVID-19 infection. Dhofar Governorate has received thousands of visitors since the end of Eid al-Adha holiday to enjoy the Kharif season. The Supreme Committee in charge of examining the mechanism of dealing with developments resulting from the spread of the coronavirus COVID-19 allowed visitors to the Governorate from inside the Sultanate, providing they have taken one dose of the antivirus vaccine, while emphasizing the importance of adhering to precautionary measures such as social distancing, mask wearing, and continuous sanitization. Nevertheless, there were reports of crowd gatherings in tourist and commercial sites, hotels, residential facilities, and markets, and some people were not wearing face masks, which is considered a serious violation to the Supreme Committee directives. The Ministry of Health reported 9 deaths, 309 COVID-19 cases and 504 recoveries. The ministry also reported that the total number of COVID-19 cases registered in the Sultanate reached 297,431, while the total number of deaths reached 3,877. The total recovered cases reached around 280,927. The ministry indicated that the total number of inpatients reached 485, of which 210 are in intensive care units. Coming up in our news bulletin, an ancient mosque has been renovated to keep it as a unique religious and scientific landmark in the Wilaya of Nizwa. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Iran's President-elect Ibrahim Raisi said today he will take steps to lift sanctions imposed by the United States after winning the formal endorsement of the country's supreme leader to take office later this week. 60-year-old Raisi promised to improve the living conditions of Iranians, which have worsened since 2018 when Washington reimposed sanctions on Iran after abandoning a nuclear deal. Raisi said as he will be sworn in on Thursday and then have 1 week to present his cabinet to parliament for a vote of confidence. They will seek to lift the sanctions imposed by America. Iran and 6 powers have been in talks since April to revive the nuclear pact. Iranian and Western officials have said significant gaps remain. A 6th round of indirect talks between Tehran and Washington in Vienna adjourned on June 20th, and the parties have yet to announce when they will resume. Turkish firefighters today continued their battle with the devastating wildfires in the southern resort of Marmaris as helicopters were dropping water on the flames ripping through trees and undergrowth. 16 planes and 51 helicopters raced against time to tackle the blazes that hit the 3 coastal towns of Manavgat, Bodrum, and Marmaris. The European Union said it had helped mobilize 3 firefighting planes from Croatia and 2 from Spain joined teams from Russia, Iran, Ukraine, and Azerbaijan. The wildfires that erupted last Wednesday in the country have claimed 8 lives so far. Over 4,000 firefighters and hundreds of fire trucks are still battling across the country to contain the fires. South Korean Foreign Minister Chung Eui-yong pledged today that South Korea will work with ASEAN countries to overcome the pandemic. Chung called for strong global solidarity and cooperation to fight against COVID-19 in his opening remarks for a virtual ministerial meeting between South Korea and the 10-member Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. Chung said in order to overcome the pandemic and create a better future, the Republic of Korea will work together with ASEAN members, fully investing in the priorities set out in the new Southern Policy Plus, aligning them with the objectives of the ASEAN Comprehensive Recovery Framework. Chung is scheduled to join other virtual ASEAN meetings this week, including an ASEAN Plus 3 meeting with China and Japan, and the ASEAN Regional Forum that North Korea might participate in. A white paper on global digital economy released yesterday said the digital economy saw a high growth rate worldwide in 2020 amid the pandemic and global economic downturn, and the digitalization of industry remained the main engine of the digital economy. The paper, titled White Paper on Global Digital Economy, was issued by the China Academy of Information and Communication technology at the ongoing 2021 Global Digital Economy Conference in Beijing. The paper examined in depth the development trends of key areas such as 5G, artificial intelligence, and digital transformation of the manufacturing industry, compared the digital economy policies in different countries around the world, and analyzed the development of the global digital economy in 2020. Data from the paper shows that the scale of added value of digital economy in the 47 countries reached $32.6 trillion last year, accounting for 43.7% of the GDP. The Ministry of Education announced today the results of the exams for the General Education Diploma and its equivalent for the first round of the academic year 2020-2021. The results are available through the SMS service in the Sultanate by sending the roll number to the number 90200. They are also available in the Oman Education Portal. The ministry noted that the success rate in the General Education Diploma exam is 82.06%. The Sultanate, represented by Environment Authority, took part in the extraordinary meeting of the Regional Marine Environment Protection Organization. The Environment Authority said at the meeting that it undertakes its role to protect the marine environment in the Sultanate through monitoring of ports, services, fishing and shipping activities, oil tankers movement, and other different commercial marine activities. It pointed out to the need to enhance marine pollution combat programs in the region, which will contribute to protect marine environment from deterioration. The Sultanate's embassy in Brunei Darussalam launched Al Khalil bin Ahmed Al Farahidi Corner for Omani publications at the library of the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports. The initiative came within the context to enhance distinguished cooperation and friendship relations binding the Sultanate and Brunei Darussalam in the field of cultural cooperation, and to support initiatives being launched by Brunei government to encourage youth to adopt the culture of reading through enriching public libraries in the country with different types of books that cover all fields of knowledge. The Omani publications at the public libraries in Brunei amounted to 2,000 publications. The launching ceremony of the corner was presided over by His Excellency Datu Aminuddin Ihsan, Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports in Brunei Darussalam. Oman Liquefied Natural Gas Company approved its records management guide, which includes schedules of records retention dates and records categorization guide. The guide includes all types of records and documents used in the company to enable it to manage them as per best practices and achieve quality and excellence in its works. The move also came within the keenness of National Records and Archive Authority to implement the records management system in companies that the government owns at least 25% of its capital. The approval was signed by His Excellency Dr. Hamad bin Mohammed Al-Dhawiani, the Chief Executive Officer of Oman Liquefied Natural Gas Company. Al-Mazra'a Mosque in the ancient Al-Aqar neighborhood in the Wilaya of Nizwa is one of the old archaeological mosques in the Sultanate. It has now been renovated to become a unique religious and scientific landmark in the Wilaya. More details in the following report.
The ancient Al-Aqar neighborhood in the Wilaya of Nizwa is distinguished by different historical and archaeological attractions, one of which is Al-Mazra'a Mosque. Let us get a closer insight into this valuable religious monument.
Al-Mazra'a Mosque is one of the oldest Omani mosques. It was built in the 3rd century after Hijrah, and it is a true manifestation of ancient Omani architecture.
يعود تاريخ بناء هذا المسجد للقرن الثالث الهجري.
Building this mosque dates back to the 3rd century after Hijrah. It played an important role in the religious, scientific, and cultural arenas. The mosque has been a source of pride for many people in the wilaya of Nizwa, especially in Al-Aqar neighborhood.
تم تنفيذ ترميم هذا المسجد واستغرق حوالي سنة ونصف.
The renovations of this mosque took around a year and a half. It included changing the ceilings and arcs as well as the outer plaster. This mosque was on the verge of collapsing. It was important to preserve its legacy.
The walls and pillars of the Al-Mazar'a Mosque are adorned with beautiful writings, some of which document past events, and these writings have become a resource for Omani researchers. Al-Mazar'a Mosque has been recently renovated to restore its historical value.
المسجد له أوقاف كثيرة بسبب كثرة المتعلمين الذين
The mosque has many endowments due to the large number of learners and teachers who used to come to the mosque. Many scholars, writers, and judges graduated from this mosque. There are some ancient writings on the walls of the mosque recording the most important event that occurred during the past 500 years, like pandemics and death of scholars. The writings recorded the events with dates, so we were able to learn a lot of important information from these writings.
The renovation project carried out in the Al-Mazar'a Mosque is endeavored to preserve the prestigious significance of this mosque as a cultural, social, educational, and religious edifice over the years and times. صالح بن خلفان الرحبي, ولاية of Nizwa, الداخلية, Governorate.
This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main headlines once again. Signed by His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq, His Excellency the Foreign Minister arrives in Iran to take part in the swearing-in ceremony of the Iranian President-elect. The vaccination of school students of the age group 12 years and above starts in all governorates of the Sultanate. The Dhofar Governorate receives thousands of visitors to enjoy the Kharif season, while the COVID-19 Supreme Committee observes some gatherings and violations of the precautionary measures in the Wilaya of Salalah. And the Ministry of Education announces the results of the General Education Diploma examinations. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night and stay safe.